Step into the arena of minds. On this channel, every move is a clash of strategy, every sacrifice a turning point, and every game a battle for glory. Watch two players push the limits of creativity and calculation as we bring you the drama, suspense, and excitement of chess like never before. Rapport opens with b3, sliding his pawn forward like a quiet scout preparing a flexible flank assault. Wesley responds with f5, claiming the center boldly and signaling he's ready for a direct confrontation. Rapport develops his bishop to b2, eyeing the long diagonal like a hidden sniper preparing future pressure. Wesley brings out his knight to checks, reinforcing central dominance and challenging Rapport's quiet setup. Rapport advances e3, calmly preparing development while keeping his intentions deceptively veiled. Wesley replies nf6, boosting control over key squares and subtly hinting at early kingside activity. Rapport pins with bb5, poking Wesley's knight and injecting early discomfort into black's structure. Wesley calmly answers bd6, shielding his knight while preparing harmonious development toward the center. Rapport jumps n3, a quirky sidestep intending to reroute the knight while provoking Wesley's curiosity. Wesley strikes with a6, forcing the bishop's decision and expanding space on the queen side. Rapport captures bx6, exchanging tension early to disrupt Wesley's pawn formation and create imbalance. Wesley recaptures dx9, opening his bishop's diagonal and accepting structural chaos for dynamic chances. Rapport places nc4, centralizing pressure and eyeing weaknesses around Wesley's advanced pawns. Wesley answers q7, connecting support and preparing castling while keeping tactical threats simmering. Rapport plays net2, quietly maneuvering for kingside readiness and avoiding premature commitments. Wesley pushes b5, kicking Rapport's knight and grabbing queenside space with aggressive ambition. Rapport eliminates with nxe6, trading decisively to fracture Wesley's formation and seize initiative. Wesley recaptures cxetx, strengthening his center again while opening lanes for active counterplay. Rapport advances a4, storming forward to challenge the queenside and pry open strategic weaknesses. Wesley responds b4, driving space further and locking structures with a sharp territorial claim. Rapport castles o, placing his king in safety and preparing the rooks to join the growing battle. Wesley mirrors with oo, signaling readiness for full confrontation as both kings settle behind their armies. Rapport leaps ng3, activating kingside intentions and hinting at future pressure toward Wesley's defenses. Wesley counters nd5, centralizing forcefully and challenging Rapport's coordination with aggressive posture. Rapport pushes f4, a fiery thrust aimed at cracking the center open and testing Wesley's strategic courage. Wesley answers f6, reinforcing the core and daring Rapport to commit further into the brewing storm. Rapport extends a5, driving the wedge deeper and heating the queenside tension to explosive levels. Wesley replies c5, locking the structure tightly while preparing dynamic play on both fronts. Rapport plays fc5, breaking open Wesley's center and demanding immediate tactical justification. Wesley recaptures f7, striking back sharply and opening lines for his queen and bishops to awaken. Rapport brings rx5, sacrificing exchange tempo to disorganize Wesley's structure and force activity. Wesley responds qes5, centralizing his queen aggressively and welcoming the tactical complications ahead. Rapport follows with qe2, preparing coordination while keeping eyes on weaknesses around Wesley's king. Wesley develops qe7, aligning forces calmly and waiting for the right moment to strike decisively. Rapport lifts qd3, aiming pressure at key squares and pushing Wesley to respond with precise accuracy. Wesley activates bb7, bringing long-range artillery into play and intensifying threat levels across the board. Rapport places r1, reinforcing the center and quietly preparing heavy pieces for deeper operations. Wesley counters qe7, tightening his structure and connecting his army for a potential central explosion. Rapport shifts qc4, creeping closer with threatening intentions and probing weaknesses on multiple fronts. Wesley plays kite, sliding the king aside to escape future tactics and preparing counterblows with patience. Rapport launches qh4, sliding his queen aggressively toward Wesley's kingside like a hunter, locking onto fresh prey. Wesley replies qz6, calmly interposing and challenging the queen, while tightening every defensive screw around his king. Rapport strikes with qf4, shifting angles dangerously and probing weak dark squares with surgical precision. Wesley brings out b6, centralizing the bishop to counter threats and prepare for future tactical eruptions. Rapport pressures with qf5, stepping deep into Wesley's territory and hinting at bold kingside intentions. Wesley answers qe7, maintaining cool precision while reinforcing his center against Rapport's creeping threats. Rapport drops ne4, repositioning actively and pushing his pieces toward a coordinated kingside offensive. Wesley counters a date, aligning his rook with purpose and preparing to challenge central lines decisively. Rapport advances h4, throwing a fiery pawn forward to unsettle Wesley's fortress and ignite battlefield tension. Wesley coolly plays g8, shifting his king further from danger and preparing counterplay in patient style. Rapport follows with h5, continuing the pawn storm as he tries to rip open Wesley's kingside defenses completely. Wesley develops b7, calmly reinforcing structure while aiming to untangle and strike back at the right moment. Rapport pushes qf3, gathering his forces and increasing pressure toward Wesley's already strained defenses. Wesley responds bb5, redeploying powerfully and signaling readiness to flip the battle on its head. Rapport thrusts d3, securing the center and giving his pieces fresh lanes to escalate the attack. Wesley plays h6, preventing Rapport's pawns from advancing further and laying subtle countertraps ahead. Rapport jumps ngo3, rerouting with menace and sharpening the angle of attack toward Wesley's kingside. Wesley answers qz6, calmly centralizing his queen and keeping Rapport's aggressive intentions under watch. Rapport continues nf5, driving the knight into Wesley's territory with venom and threats of tactical chaos. Wesley replies Nezeven, pushing back the intruder while preparing to reorganize his pieces for a strong breakout. Rapport maneuvers nh4, maintaining pressure, and preparing to circle his knight for a more dangerous strike. Wesley responds bd7, tightening coordination and preparing his defenses for the next wave of white aggression. Rapport activates bcone, repositioning his bishop to join the coming storm and target dark square weaknesses. Wesley plays re8, lining up his rook for potential central breakthroughs and signaling a shift in momentum. Rapport advances e4, exploding in the center to break Wesley's structure and force immediate tactical clarity. Wesley calmly plays K7, sliding the king aside to avoid future blows and await counterattacking opportunities. Rapport jumps nf again, aggressively renewing threats and insisting on kingside domination. Wesley captures f5, removing the dangerous knight to reduce white's pressure and seize tactical control. Rapport recaptures x5, reopening lines with force, and trying to keep the attack alive through sheer momentum. Wesley places qf6, centralizing his queen with menace and preparing to turn defense into a deadly counteroffensive. Rapport shifts qb7, eyeing Wesley's queenside and searching for weaknesses from a new unexpected angle. Wesley responds bb5, reinforcing key lines and preparing for decisive action across both flanks. Rapport pushes q4, dragging Wesley's attention back to the kingside as the tension reaches explosive levels. Wesley strikes with d5, blasting open the center and flipping the battle into full tactical chaos. Rapport captures qx-5, snatching the central pawn and daring Wesley to prove compensation with sharp tactics. Wesley fires back with e4, punching forward to drive lines open and unleash his long-range pieces. Rapport drops b4, consolidating calmly while keeping key squares protected against Wesley's surging forces. Wesley answers xd3, opening more channels and intensifying the pressure directly toward Rapport's king. Rapport counters cxd3, reinforcing structure while bracing for Wesley's rapidly approaching storm. Wesley plays re2, invading the second rank with brutal intent and putting Rapport's king under immediate danger. Rapport defends with qf3, stepping back to hold key points while searching for ways to neutralize Wesley's attack. Wesley slams qd4, unleashing a fierce check and forcing Rapport's king into an uncomfortable defensive posture. Rapport escapes with k2, sliding away from danger though the fires around him continue to burn fiercely. Wesley captures qxsd3, ripping another pawn and tightening his grip as decisive advantage begins to materialize. Rapport lashes out qg4, trying to stir counterplay and distract Wesley from his mounting attack. Wesley crashes through with rxeg2, sacrificing with fury to rip open the king's shelter and seize the initiative. Rapport captures qshd2, forced to accept the rook, but now facing an avalanche of deadly threats. Wesley recaptures qsf1, slicing into white's back rank and bringing his queen terrifyingly close to the king. Rapport checks with qg6, a desperate attempt to create counter-threats and buy critical defensive tempo. Wesley calmly retreats kite, sidestepping danger and preparing to resume his merciless pursuit. Rapport continues BXH chicks, sacrificing material to strip Wesley's kingside bare and force complications. Wesley answers QF2F2, delivering a crushing check and dragging Rapport's king deeper into turmoil. Rapport moves Kone, scrambling for survival as Wesley's pieces circle in, like predators closing the trap. Wesley strikes Keone, tightening the vice and leaving Rapport almost no squares to breathe. Rapport steps KH2U, but his king is now fully exposed and running out of shelter fast. Wesley follows Kefeiv, another hammer blow that forces white further into hopeless disarray. Rapport retreats Kone, clinging to the last threads of safety under overwhelming black activity. Wesley plays GX6, calmly collecting material while keeping full control of the position's deadly momentum. Rapport pushes QXH6, trying to conjure final threats but lacking the resources to turn the tide. Wesley responds G-Gate, stepping aside once more and demonstrating complete command over the battlefield. Rapport checks again with QG6, throwing his queen forward in a final attempt to disrupt Wesley's ironclad coordination. Wesley replies QA7, calmly blocking the check and signaling that every escape route for Rapport is quickly disappearing. Rapport counters QA9, trying one last time to harass the king and create a spark of tactical hope amid the collapse. Wesley answers QFS7, reinforcing his defenses with impeccable precision and shutting down every remaining white threat. Rapport delivers Q8, a desperate probing check aimed at forcing Wesley into a misstep under mounting tension. Wesley meets it with Q8, holding firm and refusing to yield even a single tempo in the tightening finale. Rapport checks again with QCX, clinging to repetition ideas as his position crumbles under Wesley's positional grip. Wesley responds QFS7, maintaining the blockade and signaling that the end is now only moments away. Rapport plays Q8, repeating the pattern, but clearly running out of meaningful resources to continue resisting. Wesley calmly places Q8, breaking the cycle and stepping toward the decisive finishing sequence with icy precision. Rapport captures QEX5, snatching a pawn in sheer desperation while knowing it cannot change the inevitable verdict. Wesley concludes with Kisi, delivering the final crushing blow that forces resignation as Black's threats become unstoppable. That's the end of today's video. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really motivates me to bring you even more exciting chess games. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.